So I was 25 and I lost my hearing. Up to that point in my life, I had some struggle, I had some problems with my hearing. When I was 25, I started sleeping through alarms in the morning on accident. Songs that I had heard my entire life suddenly didn't have a bass line. And then I was having trouble focusing or hearing things in work meetings. So I decided to go see a doctor about it. And I went into this doctor appointment thinking allergies are pretty bad this year. Doc's probably just going to give me a Zyrtec from like behind the counter that kids use to make meth, and I'll get like a steroid shot or something. Will be great. It went a little different. I hear the doctor run some tests. Then after doing some extensive over a several week period, if I'm being honest, over a several week period, my doctor gets the information she needs and tells me, you have progressive hearing loss. You have an autoimmune disease where your blood cells are destroying significant portions of your inner ear, and you will lose the rest of your hearing. And upsetting news. My doctor delivered that news to me as if she was reading a phone number out of the phone book. And so well, hey, that's bad news, right, Doc? Are we gonna how soon am I gonna have my hearing? How long is this gonna last? And she told me it could be 5 to 10 years. It could be 5 to 10 weeks. I don't know. Fun afternoon. But the doctor did tell me one thing. She informed me there is something we can do about this. There's no reason to lose hope. There's this thing called a cochlear implant. You can get this, and you will be able to hear with the cochlear implant. I, at that point, had not heard of this device, and so I asked my doctor, what is this? And she explained to me, well, in your inner ear, you have this thing called a cochlea. It looks like a cinnamon roll, and inside you have thousands of nerve hairs. Your blood cells are destroying these nerve hairs. And so these nerves can't send electrical impulses to your brain, which is how a normal hearing person hears. What a cochlear implant does is that we implant 32 electrodes inside of the cochlea, and they will simulate the electrical impulses that are sent to the brain, and you will hear that way. My doctor explained this to me, technically what an implant was, but she couldn't explain to me the human component. What does that sound like? And no one really could. I didn't know anybody in my life who had a cochlear implant. I had to go scour the internet and try to seek out other people who had them. And I don't know if y'all were keeping score, but or big math fans like me, but 32 is like way less than thousands. And so the spectrum of sound you hear is pretty different from what I found in my research was basically if you have normal hearing, you have the greatest graphics that the year 2022 has to offer. With a cochlear implant, you will hear basically a 1991 PlayStation graphics. If that makes sense. Thank you, guy in the back. What I also found out was upsetting. The way that people described secondhand what this sounds like was it's going to sound grainy. It's going to sound electronic. It is going to sound harsh. Basically, no good adjectives were used. And I was bothered by that because so I went and talked to my parents about it. And my folks and I are very tight. And we have a really good relationship. And so I had expressed these fears with them, and because they were as devastated about the situation as I was. And, up to that point in my life, I had done, I was Johnny who does music, or, Johnny who does improv. And I don't know if all of you know this, but it helps to hear if you do those things. And so my parents told me, this could sound, it will sound very different. But, if your concern is that tomorrow your hearing is going to sound different than it does today, we're sorry, but to be the bearer of bad news, but no matter what you do, your hearing tomorrow is going to be different. So you can do nothing, or you can take a proactive step and get this device that will sound clear. It will help you hear in those work meetings, or help you whenever you're out getting drinks with friends. So I took that advice and I went and spoke to my doctor about it, expressed my concerns again. My doctor reiterated what my parents told me. It then said, yes, I don't have a cochlear implant. I can't tell you how this is going to sound, but what I can tell you is what an amazing thing your brain is. And basically, it's a simulated sound. And at first, you'll have these memories of what sound sounded like. And then you will have these new impulses that are coming from the cochlear implant. And eventually, they're just going to meet in the middle. And it's going to start with the people that you're most familiar with that are deep in your brain subconscious, so like very close friends and family members. And then there are going to be people on the outside, so like people you're friendly with, but they're at the forefront of your brain. And then there's the third ring of these will be people or new sounds that you just have not heard, and you're hearing them for the first time through your implant, and then your brain is just going to absorb it that way. And this will be your new way of hearing. So I agree. I put down a surgery date on the calendar, but I'm freaked out. I freaked out for a number of reasons because I have not had a concrete example of how this is going to sound, what my life is going to look like, or how I'm going to function with this new device. And then importantly, how this is going to affect me as an identity. I previously, like I said, I was Johnny who did music. I did Johnny who did improv. And now I am Johnny who is deaf, and that was a difficult thing for me to reconcile. So that was my mindset going into the surgery. Surgery goes great, everything was fine. I was pretty scared. The day I did the surgery, though, I did grab the surgeon and I was like, "Hey, this is like not a big deal, right? This surgery is like not a big deal." And because I also had just never had surgery before, and so the surgeon was like, "This surgery is so simple and so easy. You are the third person I'm doing this for today." And so so the surgery goes well. They implant the electrodes in your head, and then you have a 2-week recovery period. And then you have what's called an activation day, which is when you get the device, which is here on the side of my head, and they connect it. And so activation day comes. I spent the recovery period at home with my parents, and they were helping me, heal from the surgery. And so I go, and my mom comes with me to see the audiologist, and I can turn on the cochlear implant for the first time. And I don't know if y'all have seen like those Facebook videos of like a child who's seen hears for the first time, and it's really magical. Not my experience. No, it was mine was pretty horrifying. It was straight up otherworldly. I heard sounds that day I have never heard in my life. I can't verbalize them to you. I can't. It was legitimately terrifying. And so that's happening to me. And then my audiologist was really sweet, but was trying to like administer a hearing test and kept going like, say the word kite, say the word ball. I was like, Linda, I can't do this right now. I'm sorry. Can we? And then like I was like visibly sweating. I was getting and so Linda pauses and says, okay, well, and she starts writing things down for me so I can like communicate. And she writes down and says like, just tell me what you can hear. And so I start looking around the room and I say like I can hear like the air conditioner in the back. It's making some noise, and she said, "Okay, great, good." And I said, "Well, like I can hear like some papers rustling over here in the corner." And she said, "Okay, great." And then I can hear you've got someone in the waiting room who's clicking their pen sort of loud. I'm assuming. And she said, and so she says, "Good, okay, good. Now we're gonna try the hearing test again." And then she points to my mom and says, "Diana, can you try to say something to Johnny?" And then my mom says verbally this time, "Hi, Johnny, can you hear me?" And I said, "Yes, Mom, I can't hear you." And those were the first words that I heard. It was my mom. I forgot my New Year's. Thank you.